Welcome to Show and Tell, the podcast where we revive the timeless childhood tradition. Brought to you by Eternal Puppy. What did you bring us today?
Hey, what I brought you all out there is a picture that I've had on a wall where I can see it for years and years. It says probably somewhere like 7 or 8 years. Doesn't matter exactly. But I've had this where I can see it in my office. And this is a picture. I didn't know it when I first ran into it, but I guess it's a fairly famous picture. It's called the Flammarion carving or engraving or something like that.
Ooh.
Dates back to 1888. Uncolored originally. I think this is somebody else's coloration later than that. But I I connected with this picture when I saw it, and you can see kind of there's a guy, I think some medievally looking guy in a robe or something, but crawling along the earth and poking his head through the firmament or the shell of a sky and poking his head out past it and sees a wondrous landscape beyond that of whatever celestial, what is beyond the sky out there. And it resonates with me because it feels like it represents my journey and resonates with my journey of seeking and exploring and trying to find um, the mechanisms, trying to explore the way that the world works, trying to explore what is behind everything and why are things the way that they are. And so, whether you look at it from a physical or a spiritual or a kind of an existential frame, I think, yes, it all fits. And I identify with the unnamed hero in this picture who is on their quest.
What are some insights you came to about, from your journey?
Hmm. Gosh. Gosh, where to start even? Um, I've I've journeyed a lot, it feels like, and I feel like I've come to insights about the way the way that I view the world. And sorry, that's rather unspecific there, but kind of the ontological reality of what is the outermost, view of the world. You ask, why is there something rather than nothing? And is there a God? And if so, what kind of God? And if not, well, what would that even mean? And if so, what would that mean? And so religion and philosophy, and is there an unmoved mover? And many of those kinds of questions, I think, have been perplexing to me over the years of my journey. I also identify strongly with just looking at this world and systems and human systems and organizational systems. I've done software and a lot of technical and coding and engineering systems, but also the human systems of teams and organizations, and how do people organize and how do people work together. And so, I've gone through several different stages of understanding, levels maybe of understanding of what I can see and understanding how things and people and systems work.
Do you think that trains your intuition or the the opposite of that, the thinking side of your brain more?
Hmm. Do I think that it changed my, I'm going to interpret this as like left brain, logical,
Hmm.
rational mind thinking more, or my intuitive, creative, right brained type
Hmm.
of thinking more? Hmm. I think I'm going to say that the change is actually kind of in that hemispheric type of shift or expansion from left brain to right brain, so to speak. And brain hemisphere is kind of this long, complicated history. Um, and so I'm using the terms maybe in the sense of Ian McGilchrist, master and his emissary, wrote a whole book about brain hemispheres and more recent interpretations. But the move that I'll highlight is from kind of a logical, um, rationalist, materialist, everything is, just dealing with things in that componentized, focused, detail-oriented way to zooming out to becoming more aware of and more integrated with a wider holistic view that attunes and attends to the entirety of the landscape and the environment on whatever the thing is. So it's being able to, yeah, trust my gut more, trust my body and what my body is telling me, the subtle side of my emotions, and being able to factor that all into my maybe read of a situation in a way that younger me would have pushed down my emotions, ignored them, and just tried to like calculate the whole thing out and go with that.
Have you read Blink by Malcolm Gladwell?
I think I actually have not read the book, but might be familiar enough with the concepts to
Hmm.
talk about it.
Yeah, it reminds me of that, and the picture reminds me of, I think it was the Simpsons movie, where the Simpsons had to escape from a field. And now I'm forgetting the details. Wait, huh? Hmm. Do you have any stories where you realize your paradigm was shifted,
Hmm, for sure. Let's see.
or stories where your paradigm was actively shifting and you realize you had a aha moment?
Yeah, I'll say the biggest aha moment that I can point to was, a few years ago, deconstructing or maybe zooming out from one sense of my identity, where I was, I was a good worker. I was very productive. I was very insightful, and I was very much an engineer, and engineering systems and people, and the way that I was working, the ways that I was working started to kind of backfire on me, in that what had gotten me that far wasn't getting me further in a larger organization and with a more complex challenge. And so when I realized that, I had this moment of seeing that a lot of things that I had identified with myself, my skills, my ability to lead people, my ability to get things done, my ability to see what other people couldn't and to make things happen, that those skills weren't me. And so I had a moment of, well, if I'm not those skills, and I can choose to employ those skills or not, or I could try to find a new way of working, a new way of being, well, then what am I? What am I if I'm not those things and not those strengths that I've spent years and years and years building up as what I do and who I am? Uh, that moment for me was one of letting go and falling back, kind of trust falling backwards into maybe nothing, but letting go of those things and trying to find a self and an identity and a way of being that was simply oriented around just being. An identity not based on what I could do, but just on simply being who I am.
Do you think at the time of that revelation of who am I, you surpassed all the levels of Maslow's hierarchy and you were on the self-actualization level?
Hmm. That sounds, yeah, yeah, that sounds appropriate and likely. And yeah, I'd succeeded at many of the, traditional metrics and the conventional games. And it was very much about a search for, yeah, meaning and not further accomplishment so much as what's the meaning behind all the accomplishment.
Do you think you would have came to that insight if counter to Maslow's hierarchy, you were like still on the social level or the very primitive level?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that I think that each level of development, as we grow and develop, is kind of pulled, that our environment and the challenges that we occur pull us to grow. And so if I were working with and facing different challenges, there would be different issues and different points. And yeah, it's a different life, different situation.
Can't think of anything else to say. This is really interesting. I This is an interesting if questions are doors to discovery, this is like an interesting door that I'm taking
Hmm.
where I ask this question and looking at objects as stories is is an interesting thing that I'm just realizing you can do. Because before because this is my first time doing this.
Hmm. Well, you've certainly got me storytelling and even into the mystical side a bit. I asked my kids what I should bring to show and tell, given that they're, more recent experience with it. And
Hmm.
they told me that I should bring a picture of them and show a picture of them and tell people about them. And we talked about internet and strangers and all of that, but I thought that was fun.
Yeah. It's what have you done as a parent, if you don't mind me asking? Like, I'm not sure how I would think about giving my kids the internet because it's benefited me a lot, but it's also caused some bad habits. And I think I always joke that if I write a book, I would credit it to my parents, mom, dad, and the internet, because it has played a big role in my development. Um, Devices have played it, not necessarily the internet, but yeah.
Yeah. So the question is how do I approach that in general in parenting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Well, we haven't quite gotten to that age. My kids aren't as old as you, for example. Um, but yeah, it's a tool, and a tool, like a knife, can be very useful for accomplishing
Mhm.
things and getting things done, and you can also cut yourself.
Mhm.
And with the added, I don't know, probably with some added caution there of, and there are other people swinging their own knives around in ways that you need to be aware of and be
Mhm.
careful of too. But uh, in general, I'd say my philosophy is to kind of rely less on bumpers, filters, and net nanny protectors, and educating my own kids about the things that they will find and how to make those kinds of decisions for themselves, and what kind of awareness do they need to carry with them as they start traveling through farther corners of the internet.
Mhm. This reminds me of the taking kids seriously approach of parenting, which
Mm,
is that something you've actively decided to do?
mm. I'm not sure if I'm following all the points of that particular brand name of philosophy, but I think that resonates with me a whole lot. Yeah, I do strive to take my kids seriously and to give my kids respect and autonomy as much as they are able, and to parent, yeah, not with, to parent less with authority and control and more with guidance and coaching. Yeah, resonates a lot with me.
Mhm. I think kids have such a amazing like light of play inside of them that um well you I guess you already know my thoughts on that because you read the story. Um huh. It's such a fascinating idea of like uh designing a human's mind via parenting,
Ah, hmm.
which I don't know if parenting is that much like if it's designing or just influencing. I'm not sure to what extent you
And
control.
sometimes a lot less influence than we think.
Hmm. This was a really interesting conversation. Thank you.